When it comes to dating these days, a lot of people still don't seem to get why successful women are having a hard time, and that's exactly what we're going to get into today. If you're new here and enjoy videos like this, hit that subscribe button because it really helps me out a lot. That's enough begging from me though, so let's get into the mess.
I think the bigger, more frightening issue in all of this is not that people think that men don't care about your degrees. The conversation is shifting towards a point where women are being told it's unattractive to be educated. It's unattractive to have degrees and accomplishments and a career and everything else. But little by little, they're telling us that it's not even that men don't care, it's that they will dislike you if you have those things.
When she says that men don't find accomplished women attractive, I think this is for a variety of reasons. And for the most part, I think she's talking about a particular group of men, because when you're not online, it's just not something that your everyday person is talking about. Something that I've heard successful men say in the past is that they don't need or want to be with someone who's as ambitious and driven as them. And what they'd actually prefer is someone who'll complement their life in other ways. I remember Tim Pool saying once that he doesn't want a partner who's working all the time and instead wants someone who can take care of the home and raise the kids because the financial side of things has already been taken care of. For someone like him, a woman who's all about her career isn't a viable option because that's just not what he's looking for. Another thing that might be going on with men finding these sorts of women unattractive is because of what comes along with a woman who's a super ambitious high achiever. And it's that she might display or have a number of masculine characteristics that aren't appealing to men. In the next clip, we've got a guy who's talking about why successful women are struggling in the dating world. So let's get into it.
This is the reason why so many career-driven women have problems in the dating world.
You ain't met the right one.
Hold on. No, I'm just talking about as a whole, especially in the black community. The women that make this nice money, they are struggling. They are on TV talking about, oh, I'm gonna have a baby, but I'm gonna have it put in me because I can't find a man. Because really and we talked about, Ace, you talked about staying in your financial lane. For men, a lot of these women aren't staying in their physical lane or their mental lane when it comes to the men. Because now you want these men that make all this here money and do all of these here things for you, which is a very small percentage of men. If you say I want a man that make $100,000, you eliminated 85% of all men. 85%, that leaves you 15%. Half of that 15% is married. 7.5%, half of them gay. Or live an alternative lifestyle. Take that down to 3.5%, 4% that you got to choose from. Then you want him over 6 feet, 2%. He can't be obese, 1%. You don't like Sagittarius, Leos, or Cancers. Well, now you at 0.5% of a man that you got to look for. You got to find him, and then he got to like you back. That type of man that makes that type of money has requirements for a woman too that now you have to meet. This is why so many women are struggling that make money when they step out here into the dating world because they're unrealistic for their dating pool.
What he's saying isn't wrong. Men not finding successful women attractive, which is what the person in the clip before this was talking about, isn't why these women are struggling to find someone to settle down with. There are plenty of men who make average money who'd happily be with a successful woman, but would she want to be with them? That's the main issue here. Men and women aren't looking for the same thing when it comes to long-term relationships. And whether you want to blame it on our evolutionary history, society, or whatever else, people like what they like, and that ain't changing for now. This guy has a bit more to say in another clip that I found, and in this one, he talks specifically about why successful women aren't attractive to him.
This is why I look for a man like myself, a more traditional man. Like I said, I don't want my woman working full time. This is why I don't typically date career-driven women, because typically those career-driven women do not want to do the things that she's talking about on a daily basis. We see it now where these women that are career-driven women call that a slave or a maid. That is not the type of attitude, because I got the financial part. That's what you're saying I have to do. You're not touching no bills. You're not even paying the tip. Well, I don't want to come home and cook nothing. I don't care if you are working, because you don't have to work. You don't have to. You want to work. That's different. So I don't want to come home and cook nothing. I don't want to come home and clean nothing. If you're expecting me to do all of the financial load, which is fine and I'm cool with it, I don't need a woman that's also out there trying to chase her dreams and go get all this money. It's not needed. I need you to be more of a homemaker. So therefore, when it comes to career-driven women that want to chase the bag, I personally know that they wouldn't be a good fit for me, so I leave them alone.
I think it's great that you acknowledge that that wouldn't be a good fit for you, but I also think that it's a little bit unfair to say, oh, you know what, she, and she, they're all career women, so they're automatically disqualified.
Absolutely.
I didn't say automatically.
Well, no, because you're not even going for a career-driven woman. You're not even getting to know them enough to determine if they're career-driven or if they are survival-driven, or if they're career-driven or if they're lifestyle-driven, and you might be able to come in and provide that survivorship. Ooh. You might be able to come in and provide that lifestyle, and they will take a seat.
Most times they're too masculine and I don't want to deal with it.
Most
times they're too masculine and I don't deal with it. But this is the reason. Hold on.
What he said in this clip is exactly what I talked about in the first video we watched today. At the end, one of the women started talking about how he could or should give an ambitious woman a chance, because maybe she could be the kind of person he wants. Now, what she's saying isn't totally wrong, because I've seen career-driven women completely change their tune after having a kid, and all that hustle and bustle they had before goes out the window. But does that always happen? Of course not. So if a career-driven woman isn't something he's interested in, why take that chance?
I think a lot of women are so far ahead in terms of just life, whether it's like running businesses, jobs, security, like all the things that we're told we're supposed to have as adults. So I actually feel sorry for those women because the dating pool is that small. Guys might be intimidated by a woman that's so well put together, and the women are having to choose from men who, quote unquote, I wouldn't say are beneath them, but aren't at the level that they're operating at. So it's rigged, as you said, in favor of the guys because they've got a whole bunch of women to pick from, those who have their stuff together, those that don't, those who are building.
Yeah.
Whereas as a woman who knows what she wants, even if the guy is attractive and ticks all the boxes, she might still have that little slight thing in the back of her mind where she's like, do I really want to build this man? Am I going to be the person to build him?
While he's right in saying that some men are intimidated by successful women, he kind of ignores the fact that these women could find a good partner, and maybe that man doesn't make as much as they do. But that doesn't mean he can't enrich their lives in other ways. For the most part, men will happily date a woman who makes less than them, and when they do, they don't see her as being beneath them, which is how career-driven women tend to view guys who don't share their tax bracket. The reason why successful men have a larger pool of women to choose from than successful women is because being a provider is something that comes naturally to them. And as you know by now, this isn't something most women have an interest in doing, and you'll hear more about it in this last clip I've got for you.
Only so long that a woman wants to carry a man.
A man is a situation where the woman is the breadwinner and taking the majority of the lion's share of the bills.
Not good to that. It's not going to work. I'll tell you as a financial advisor, majority of my clients are women. A majority of the time, the conversation is, what happens in divorce? What happens if I... Because there's only so long that a woman wants to carry a man.
42% of marriage end in divorce.
Yeah. And remember, one of the big, after infidelity, the second biggest was financial. 2019, just before the pandemic, for the first time ever, finance was the #1 reason for divorce. And that's not just, that's in the Western world, UK and in America. If I'm a woman and I'm earning 120k a year and my partner's earning 40k, remember, I've got 120k men around me. My husband has to be displaying those similar characteristics because my standard is up. The role of men and men themselves are looking is different, right? So I feel like, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm embarrassed by the type of man I'm seeing these days. They're too relaxed. Like, I remember, like I couldn't, like I said, when I had the time when money was down, bro, I couldn't sleep.
What he's saying about men being too relaxed is true. And I can think of a situation that I've been a witness to, in which a woman cheated on her stay-at-home husband with one of her high-powered coworkers. I remember listening to this guy talk about his marriage, how things were in his home, and what his wife did for a living, and I couldn't help but think about what she was getting up to on the many work trips she was going on. Fast forward a little, and it turns out that one of her coworkers was giving her the Bane back-breaking treatment. Was this entirely because she was starting to resent her husband because he wasn't working? Who knows? But I don't doubt for a second that it played a part, especially if she was always surrounded by desirable men at work. And while this might sound a little pessimistic on my part, it was only a matter of time before she ended up hooking up with one of these dudes. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.